Tooru discovers a new maid cafe nearby and decides to work there in her free time. Later, Kobayashi and Kana visit her and are surprised to find that she's now the head chef. Tooru uses dark magic to enhance the dishes, making the cafe a success. Eventually, she decides to quit, but reluctantly agrees to teach the other maids dark magic. A few days later, Ilulu, an extremist from the Chaos faction, attacks Tooru and Kobayashi for their coexistence with humans. Tooru initially struggles against Ilulu's attacks, but Kobayashi enlists Elma's help with sweets as a bribe. This allows Tooru to fight at full strength and defeat Ilulu. Ilulu later returns and tries to seduce Kobayashi but fails, realizing Kobayashi is not interested, because she's also female. Ilulu retreats briefly but not before transforming Kobayashi into a male. Following her transformation into a male, Kobayashi grapples with suppressing her sexual urges until the enchantment cast by Ilulu finally fades. Subsequently, Kremen, a dragon hunter aligned with the Harmony faction, singles out Ilulu for targeting, prompting Kobayashi to intervene and shield her. After a brief escape, Ilulu opens up to Kobayashi, revealing her long-standing desire to coexist with humans, despite other dragons discouraging her, particularly after her parents were killed by humans. Kremen locates the pair and intends to eliminate them both, only to be thwarted by Tooru's arrival, resulting in his defeat. Following their recovery back at home, Kobayashi forms a friendship with Ilulu, who subsequently moves into her apartment. Kana invites Riko over to their house to hang out and introduces her to Ilulu. Ilulu wishes to join in the fun but is initially too shy to ask. However, with some encouragement from Lukoa, she eventually joins their activities. Meanwhile, during a group meeting with Kobayashi's friends, they decide to create a maid uniform for her. During this event, Kobayashi shares the reason behind her affinity for maid uniforms even though she doesn't feel particularly attractive while wearing them. In the meantime, when Tooru is alone at home and feeling bored, she starts searching for a new hobby. Eventually, she stumbles upon idol culture and decides to create merchandise and songs dedicated to idolizing Kobayashi. This unexpected turn of events surprises both Kobayashi and Kana. Elma initiates a duel with Kobayashi at their workplace. However, Kobayashi soon realizes that Elma's concerns stem from a misunderstanding about her well-being and proceeds to offer reassurance. Later on, Tooru and Elma participate in a neighborhood watch activity and come across a group of delinquents with a dragon theme. Tooru swiftly overcomes their leader, leading the group to change their ways. Following this, Tooru and Kobayashi decide to take Kana, Riko, and Ilulu to the amusement park, where they all have an enjoyable time together. Tooru and Elma recount to Kobayashi their tale of how they initially crossed paths and embarked on a journey together, which ultimately led to their separation due to their contrasting perspectives. Subsequently, Ilulu heeds Tooru's advice to seek employment and secures a job at a candy store. Taketo Aida, the shop owner's grandson, assumes the responsibility of instructing Ilulu in her new role and their bond deepens rapidly. Frustrated by Lukoa's teasing, Shouta tries to find a weakness he can exploit, but his efforts prove futile. However, Lukoa later confides in Shouta, revealing that her true vulnerability lies in losing the place she considers her home and that she stays close to him because she genuinely likes him. Meanwhile, Takeya attempts to persuade Fafnir to leave his apartment temporarily for his parents' visit, but Fafnir declines the request. Seeking advice from Shouta, Takeya acquires a magical orb in an attempt to compel Fafnir into a contract. However, Fafnir rejects the idea of subduing his friend and suggests settling the matter through a game instead. On a different note, after learning from a classmate that Riko once walked a long distance from home, Riko and Kana decide to retrace that path together. Along the way, they unexpectedly encounter Elma in her dragon form, but Kana convinces Riko that it's just a computer-generated illusion, CG. Fafnir approaches Lukoa for assistance in posing for a manga he's working on for an upcoming doujinshi convention. Despite finding the story perplexing, unaware of its connection to her relationship with Shouta, and the art unattractive, Lukoa agrees to help. She later teams up with Fafnir and Takeya to sell a book of cosplay photos, which quickly sells out while Fafnir struggles to make any sales. On her day off, Kobayashi sleeps in and has a conversation with Tooru about dragon sleep habits, leading them to ponder why they've been sleeping more frequently in the human world. Meanwhile, Kana, Riko, and 3 classmates decide to investigate the school's rumored ghost for a class project. Their search after school reveals that the supposed ghostly noises are actually caused by a broken window. However, Kana eventually uncovers the true culprit, a fairy trapped in their world. Ilulu uses her magic to send the fairy back, prompting the students to consider investigating space as their next project. Shouta's Father's Day project involves creating a talisman for his dad, but Lukoa mistakenly thinks he's making a gift for Tit's day and offers to assist, which he declines. Despite several unsuccessful attempts, Shouta eventually turns to Takia for advice, which inspires him to try a different approach and successfully complete the talisman. Meanwhile, Kobayashi falls ill with a cold, causing Tooru to fret over how to care for her. Worried about Kobayashi's deteriorating condition, Tooru returns to her own world in search of a remedy. When she returns, she finds that Kobayashi is already feeling better, and not wanting to cause further concern, she takes some medicine she finds, inadvertently giving herself cat ears and a tail. At her workplace, Ilulu notices a forgotten doll and decides to search for its owner when they don't return. During the search, Take meets Kobayashi for the first time and becomes puzzled by their relationship. Despite the seeming futility of the endeavor, Ilulu persists, driven by her own remorseful memories of abandoning a doll given to her by her former human friends. Witnessing Ilulu's determination, Take continues to assist, and together, they successfully locate the owner, who apologizes for initially leaving the doll behind and expresses gratitude to Ilulu for returning it. Elma's efforts to advocate for improved working conditions at her and Kobayashi's workplace involve a continuous process of revising her proposals whenever they face criticism or rejection. In the course of her endeavors, they cross paths with their boss, who happens to be Shouta's father, and is aware of the presence of dragons in their world. Despite initiating a labor union, all the proposals are swiftly rejected by their boss, revealing that Elma's true motive was to gain access to the station's limited suites. Given Kobayashi and Tooru's unavailability, Kana, Riko, and Shouta request Elma to accompany them on a picnic. During the outing, the 3 children slip away, prompting Elma to search anxiously for them out of fear of being labeled as ineffective by Tooru. This leads to a near revelation of her true dragon nature in front of Riko. At a later point in time, Tooru and Elma engage in a training duel under the watchful eyes of Fafnir and Kobayashi. Their confrontation becomes an outlet for their pent-up frustrations, ultimately leading Elma to confess her longing for Tooru's friendship and desire to reconcile. The two of them mend their relationship and return to their playful sparring. Following an argument with Kobayashi, Kana decides to run away and unexpectedly finds herself in New York City. While there, she encounters Chloe, the daughter of a wealthy businessman, and comes to her rescue when she's threatened by a group of mafia members. The two of them spend the day together, having fun, until Kana realizes she needs to go back home and make amends with Kobayashi. However, the mafia abducts Chloe suddenly, prompting Kana to transform into a dragon and frighten them away before flying Chloe safely back to her home, as Chloe had also run away initially. Upon her return home, Kana finds Kobayashi and Tooru both asleep, with Tooru having secretly watched over Kana throughout her adventure. During the summer break, with Tooru and Ilulu occupied with work and Seikawa on a family trip, Kobayashi and Kana have the house to themselves, allowing them to relax. They opt to spend the day outdoors, exploring, examining manholes, and keeping an eye out for rain before eventually returning home. Kobayashi experiences lower back pain due to her heavy workload and poor sitting posture. In an attempt to alleviate it, she purchases multiple massage devices and receives massages from both Ilulu and Kana. Tooru also endeavors to assist by offering her tail and medications from her world, but eventually abandons this approach after consulting with Takia and Elma. Ultimately, Tooru discovers that her tail serves as the most effective massage chair for Kobayashi. Following the revelation of the similarities between a spell and coding languages, Shouta's father suggests that Kobayashi learn more about Tooru's backstory. Kobayashi subsequently meets the Emperor of Demise, who provides her with Tooru's story from his perspective as the leader of the Chaos faction. Following this, Kobayashi listens to Tooru herself recount her story, aiming to gain a deeper understanding of her feelings. After learning the entirety of Tooru's story, Kobayashi begins to experience anxiety concerning whether she truly deserves someone like Tooru's love, especially considering how effectively Tooru has assimilated herself into the human world. The group participates in the summer festival, where Tooru assists the Maid Cafe at their booth. Kana and Seikawa express their desire to continue growing up together. Ilulu shares with Take how Kobayashi helped her reconnect with her inner child, and Elma and Lukoa engage in a discussion about the differences between their respective worlds' festivals. Once Tooru finishes her work, Kobayashi requests a private walk together, during which she opens up about her concerns. Under the backdrop of fireworks, Tooru reaffirms her love for Kobayashi. Sometime later, Lukoa invites everyone to a flower viewing event in the dragon world. Tooru organizes the gathering as a tribute to Kobayashi, featuring drinks, food, and an arm wrestling competition. As the event unfolds, Tooru unveils the celebration as a pretext for her and Kobayashi's wedding ceremony, with both of them transformed into wedding dresses. Kobayashi runs away with a smile, while everyone gives chase.
I hope you liked the recap. If so, don't forget to subscribe and like it.